Peter, Niclas, thank you for joining us tonight. So just as a reminder, you created Lowrider with Ole Hellquist and Andreas Eriksson in 1996. You published a split with Nebula, which is quite an achievement for a first record in 1988. And you run an album Odd to I.O. in 2000. You toured a bit, and then nothing for a while, except a few concerts here and there, with appearances at Desert Fest and Hellfest, among others. And then there was a surprise announcement in August 2018, teased a few years ago, but does it really count? We'll see. And some new concert dates to celebrate. So first question, you've probably heard a lot by now, but I have to ask it. 20 freaking years?
Yeah.
So I've yeah, but I've actually read, you know, in the papers that comes with the Lowrider, with the refractions, it's presented.
Yeah.
That it was actually this tour in 2014 where you did several festivals, I think Desert Fest, Hellfest, and Up It Smokes, that made you realize that you had devoted fans and that these people kind of deserved another album.
I mean that notion, we realized that just coming back in when we did the first gigs coming back in 2013 at Desert Fest Berlin and London, and we were genuinely not expecting it, because I'd been getting like I had some email for Lowrider sitting. I was getting emails, and like Facebook started to become a thing in 2007 8. So I got the random sort of, I really like your band. It's meant a lot. Like, you know, you got that every other month or something like, and that was super nice. But the the fact that O2IO had sort of had its own life and grown in within the scene to become some sort of a, I don't know, a classic without us doing gigs or promoting it at all, that was really, we weren't aware. So when Reese from Desert Fest London contacted me and was like, um, "Hey, we really would like you to play a gig. Do you think is there any possibility that you could like reform for just one gig?" I was just like, "Oh, that would be fun." But we were expecting, you know, crowd sizes like from back when we were playing in 2000, 2001. Then we played for between 10 and maybe 150 people. A night, if we had like 150 people, that was a really good night. So we never had any like, we had the success of having a split with Nebula, who were like some of our idols, and then being like even released was a recognition beyond what we thought was possible. But then when we came on stage in Berlin on Desert Fest Berlin, the which was actually the first gig of the two, there was like 2,000 people there, and people knew the songs, and we were like, Jesus Christ. We did not expect it, because I mean it's, if you do a thing and then you don't even do anything to promote it for like 13 years, you don't expect people to like listen to that thing every day. It's just weird, but that's the beauty of the internet and the community that is around stone rock and doom and everything. Is people have like a very, they're sharing music in a way, and everything thing is very sort of communal. So uh we we struck the hearts of people apparently, and we did one good thing, or like one and a half, an EP and an album, and to be able to come back and then meet the sort of this kind of love, we would just realize that we can't not do another album. But then again, we wanted to do it justice, because yeah, you know, when people have like expectations built up on for 20 years, there's like, the only way you can do that is fuck up. There's no way to do that properly, because if you do the album like the old album, people are gonna be like, oh, it sounds like the old album. And then if you do something that is radical and new, and then people are like, it doesn't sound like the old album. So yeah, but I think we were all in agreement that we needed to do something. We just in 2013 and 14, we were just still amazed that we could play like these kind of gigs, and especially, I mean, Niclas, you remember Hellfest?
Yeah.
That it was like someone was pulling a prank on us because we were like, oh, we're playing. We had like by then we were like, oh, we're playing festivals now. That's cool. It's like awesome. We're supposed to play France, and I gotta admit myself, I hadn't really Googled Hellfest, so I didn't know. I knew it was a festival, but we had played like other festivals, outdoor festivals before, and they were like 4,000 people at the festival. Like it was like a nice medium sized, like very communal festival, like Up in Smoke or Stone from the Underground. And so I was expecting that. I wasn't really, and we had like a daytime slot at 2 or something.
Yeah, I understand the valley must have been a shock.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were not prepared.
No.
Niclas, what was your reaction when we
No,
came
but
out?
and we were late to the gig as well, and we
Right.
took the wrong, or the we took the wrong, we had the wrong directions to the festival, so we ended up in the middle of the camp, the festival camp. So we drove through all of the tents and so on, and just hurried up into the check-in, and oh guys, you're on soon, and we just ran up onto the stage and met this huge crowd, and my first reaction was, hi guys, yeah, on the other side of the festival, you're at the wrong place.
Yeah.
But they came to see and listen to us, and it was huge, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had like a crowd size of at the middle of the gig when people like came into the tent after a while. Because we were like just going up on stage, sound checking a little bit, and there was like 2 people at the front of the thing, and we just realized like this is a very big tent, and you just realize just we're gonna play to these people, and okay, that we're fine with that, but it's gonna be awkward. And then we go up stage just to like not be on stage waiting for like you can begin now. And then it's like 5 minutes. We just stand there and talk to our friends in Dozer who have like the slot after us, I think. And we go up on stage and there's like 8 or 10,000 people. We was like, what the fuck just happened? uh, but yeah, it was. Then what's beautiful about this band is that we know each other so well, and we have been through so many like situations of playing for half a person, and we've come to where like we don't expect anything from this. We just like to play and hang out. So when you're then in that situation where people are like stage diving and crowd surfing, and you there's no pressure. I was just on a high, and it's that's why we've kept on doing Lowrider, really, is because the 4 of us like each other so much. It's just like we would do it anyways, I think. Even though it's like there's a lot of practical stuff like telling us not to have a band because we live in 4 different cities.
I understand that's not easy, and that's actually maybe one explanation why it took you nearly 7 years to record, actually. But you announced it in August 2018, I guess, that the new album would really come out.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I'm a bit interested also in the process for Refractions, in the composition process for Refractions,
Mm-hmm.
because some songs were already drafted at the time Odd to IO was released. For example,
or
there's an
around there.
acoustic, there's an acoustic version of Sundival.
That's true.
There's a first version of All Mood Pepe that's on the extended deluxe edition.
Yeah.
but you have been adding songs at the time when, as time went. For example, there's a version of Red River at Hellfest.
Right. Yeah. The thing is a lot about like the thought of Refractions. What was not that would be the album or our comeback album. The thought was like we're just doing this experimental EP before we do the album, because we have a lot of songs like waiting that we are currently like recording for the album. But then we realized when we started recording Refractions, like this thing is becoming pretty long. It's like 43 minutes something. So we realized like, oh, this is the album. This is the comeback album. We better make this really good. And but we just so you know our mindset, we were always thinking as that is like the little thing we're gonna do before like the all new songs thing. So and then we figured like what are the songs that we want to get out there that like the whole idea with Refractions is that the name Refractions is light going through a prism and then it comes out the other side. And this was either old demos that we never finished or it was old ideas that we had and we just wanted to do them justice, or we had like old songs that we never really like. We've played them a lot live, but we never really like felt we did them justice on record, because that's old Mule Pepe, for example. That was on the old Nebula split, on just the vinyl version of it. And the studio version is cool, but it's like it's tuned in, I think, E or D. And it was like the first we barely knew this song when we recorded it. And then it has become like this live favorite that we always play, and it's one of the songs that are like we know by heart. And we know how it sounds when we play it live. And we realize like we can't just have that not be recorded the way we know it's supposed to be. Because the old version is, I don't know, it's got its charm, but it's definitely something else, and it's not as heavy. So that was like the mindset we went in with this EP, is like this is going to be a collection of old and new and unfinished ideas, which it is. But that also, that's why we sort of had the Sun Devil acoustic demo, or not demo, but that was an idea Ola had the studio when we were recording Otoio. And we always thought it was a really cool riff, but that record was recorded so fast that we never had like the time to flesh it out in the studio. And we always had like, oh, we have to do something with it someday. And it took us forever, but still, it was like, that was the idea of doing Refractions, was like finishing stuff that needed to be like done and finished. And Pipe Rider, for example, is like a friend's old demo cassette that he had in like 95 or something, that just had this melody in it. It's like a synth track that I just had stuck in my head, and then built the song from there. I mean, they don't sound very much alike, but it's like that's what that came from. It's also like an idea that was refracted through Lowrider, I guess. So if we're the prism, so that's how, like, that's why we needed to take our time with stuff. And Red River was actually recorded. We recorded a demo, Niclas. Because I think everyone played on that except Ula.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I think it was you, me, and Andreas that played. Recorded a demo back in 2003 when we thought like, now we're making the second album.
Yep.
And then we never got around to finishing it because life. But yeah, we had Red River pretty much done and like at least arranged back in 2003, which is insane that it then took like 17 years to finish it. But yeah, we've been playing that one live as well, like since forever.
So wasn't it weird to rework on things that you haven't touched for, as you said, 15 or more years?
I don't know, how do you feel, Niclas, about the old dusty shit?
I mean, the all of the songs, or some of the songs, has been with us for so long, and so they always been like, as Peder is saying, we need to do something more. looking into this recording process, it's been quite weird actually, the whole process, since we are living in different cities and we only have the small amount of time to meet up and do the different tracks and recordings. But so from my point of view, we've been meeting up in Stockholm or in Karlskoga, where Andreas lives, to do some short takes or some short recordings. And then finally, when we heard it all together, it that was even more huge than walking up in the stage in Hellfest, because yeah, it was it's from my point of view, it's mind blowing how to the Peder and Daniel who did the mixing, who they kept it all together. So it was kind of a hard process, not hard, but it was a weird process, not being there every single minute. Because when we did O2IO, we lived together in the studio, made the songs, did the recordings, mixed it and mastered it all by ourselves. But this time it was more like a project, and we jumped in here and there, and but the final product, so to say, ended up quite good from my point of view. But it was a strange process this time.
Yeah, it's like I think we did like a Corona record before
Yeah.
Corona.
Yeah,
In many ways, it's sort of when we were like laughing about how this record came about, we realized like, yeah, now that's how everyone makes music.
Yeah.
Since like a year and a half back, it's just uh oddly enough, it's like we haven't really we haven't really recorded a lot since Refractions, but we started doing demos and stuff like that. But then again, we are not like the fastest of bands. We are that's the understatement of the day.
Yeah, it is.
But I mean, just so you know, and I mean Niclas knows this, we have like demoed versions of, I don't know, 10 or 15 songs. It's just that to go from, we put a pretty high bar for ourselves, that we want it to be like good enough to be as good as O2IO, or good enough to be now as like, now we need to top Refractions. And I think we all feel very we feel we have like a legacy not to fuck up again. It's like now we found new fans with Refractions, and there's like no point in doing another record like after a year that is a lukewarm version of Refractions. Now it has to be sonically as huge and fat and as filled with ideas and cool riffs and just little sprinkles of stuff. Because otherwise, it's just like, then we could just as well wait 2-3 more years and finish it and make it good. And that, I mean, we had the idea of releasing Refractions in like 2016, because the songs were like, they were done, but then we just worked on the production of everything and just like added little things, and then Daniel on top of that added his magic with like that. What he got was pretty production ready, but then what we got back was just like he turned that drum kit. It was like he inflated it to be the size of Colosseum. I have no idea how he does what he does, but he makes just everything sound as loud as it can without like overpowering anything else. And
yeah.
it's I'm generally a fan of our record just because of his mixes. I can just listen to it. It's like, this is the best fucking drum sound I've heard in my life.
The mixing is pretty impressive, and actually, I've written in the review I did that one day I would like to ask you how the sound is so amazingly low, like down on in the bass, etc. So now's the time, right? So how on earth did you manage to get this sound? And then you say it's the mixers that did everything. So
no, it yes and no, but I mean we're not 20 this time around, and we didn't record the thing in 2 weeks. So of course, like when you have the luxury of not working under pressure, you can listen back to, you can record and then take time off from it, listen back to it, and be like, what's missing from this? Not just like songwriting wise or melody wise, but like dynamics and also just like sonics. And the past couple of, I mean, when we started the band, both Niclas and Andreas were working or like studying to become sound engineers. So they were already in the mindset of thinking like sonics and shelving of different frequencies and stuff. I was just like, make it loud. I was, 17 years old and just wanted it to sound like this record or this record, but I didn't know what made that record sound the way it did. And the past 10 years, I've especially since doing my other band, IR Droid, in the middle of things, I realized like sound what production and mixing, just the art of that, and understood that to get to like the bass heavy sound we want for the next record, I have to rethink things and how I write the songs and how what is in there. Because I mean, back on Otayo, we would think to use a synthesizer would be cheating, or like that's like, no, you don't use synthesizer. That's for morons. But on this record, a lot of what is like adding the extra sub octaves or like low frequencies are sometimes like a Moog synthesizer, or that the bass is doubled, or that you have a guitar is like doubled and pitched down. So it's like, it's not just like you hear it, you also feel it. There's like this sort of just, there's just some sounds that are frequencies rather than sort of stuff you hear. And then of course Daniel, his work with that, what his genius is just making it not sound like a just big mush of bass, where he actually like made it make sense. And when you listen back to it, it's just not all which is a problem when you work with something as bass heavy as us. But yeah, I would say like the working with just music production the past 10-15 years has informed us all in how to sonically better make a record. And then Andreas also had a lot more room to play around with recording and miking and mixing, pre-mixing the drums. Because the thing is, he's not just an amazing drummer, he is really, really good at miking drums and producing drums. So he did, we just got like finished drum tracks from him pretty much. And Daniel was like, these are the best drum tracks I've gotten in my life. He was just like, this, it's a joy to work with this. Both because they're well recorded, but also that Andreas knows, he hits very hard when he plays live, but in the studio he plays pretty softly, because that just, when you want to then beef it up and add a lot of compression to it and make it sound huge, playing hard actually just makes it sound shittier. So he has all that mindset, and that just having all these sort of this talent in the band that like Andreas is with like the sound engineering background, and Niclas as well, really just, it helps to make more informed decisions and not just try stuff and then it's like it's impossible to mix it. So yeah, I guess we're gearheads, all of us, and it's starting to show.
Niclas, do you want to add to that?
No, I think Peter pretty much nails it, and I think what makes Refraction stand out is compared to some other tunes that you hear today, is that each sound, no matter what, or each frequency has its own place in the recording or in the mix. And I mean, it can be pretty tiresome for to listen to desert or stoner rock or heavy metal, for whatever we want to call it, for a long period of time. But then there are some records where, as I think that Refractions are, that where there is none competition between the different frequencies or different sounds or different instruments, because it's all is mixed and blend together, but not in competition with each other. So that's
Yeah,
I think
we tried a lot to just find a lot of dynamics also.
yeah.
But I love O2IO. I'm really proud of it, but I think it sounds exactly what it is. It's like a couple of 20-year-olds that just want to play loud and like all the time. It's pretty much just like there's an intro and then it's just like head on, all the pedals are on, and everyone's playing at maximum volume for the entire track. There might be like a little mellow thing, but what we realized for Refractions is like for that wall of sound to feel like a wall of sound, you need it to be really like mellow for a while.
Yeah.
It's not really like you don't get surprised by thunder if there's a thunderstorm, because like yeah, it's now a thunderstorm.
And that's applied in the book in Pipewriter, for example, where you have a very low cut at the middle of the song, right? Just
which song?
Just notes on Pipewriter.
Pipewriter, yeah.
Yeah, and then when the riff comes back, it's feel like a truck, really.
Yeah.
Every time.
That was like, I think that's one of the moments I'm proudest of on that record, mainly because I stumbled on it by accident, and I was this is exactly like the benefit of recording demos and having the time to listen back to them and just not really think of like how many bars it is, just hear it, just like you would listen to a record that you did not record yourself. And because I did like an early demo of I had just like the verse and the chorus, and then I knew that we're gonna have some type of jam here, so I just had like I don't know, 16 bars of drums and this just mellotron bass, like brr, 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 just going like looped. And then I was listening to it in the car because I was just like, oh, this is starting to sound cool. And then the drum track that I had recorded was just like ended, but there was, I don't know, 30 tracks or 30 bars more of just that mellotron going, and the little like dun, 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 like Fender Rhodes on top of it. And I just let it keep going. I was just like, I was getting into like, I forgot I had it on almost. It was just like getting into like a meditative state. I was just like, this is so nice. And then it just hit me when I had like put the same drums later in the like Logic file, just to have like, oh, I'll this is a different take. I'll just put that over here for later. And you forget that that's on. And I had like bounced the whole track with that drum section coming back, and I forgot about it. So I was just listening to this, and then out of nowhere, just everything comes back. I was like, that is exactly what we're gonna do. We just keep that for like so long that you're just getting into this mellow state, and then everything needs to come back. And it just that happened by accident, really. And then I mean we built on it, but
nice accident.
Yeah, very nice accident. And those things, I think Pipewriter would have been maybe like 6 minutes long if we would have released the album a couple of years earlier, because then we were just like, oh, this is good. But to have that sort of that things just grow slowly made us like discover stuff like that. And also like we could have recorded Red River back in 2013 and released that. That version isn't bad. It's just very far from how good the final thing is, because the final thing sounds like we have been playing it live for years and years, and it's now our song, and we just do it like we always do it. There's so much, especially in Andreas's drum track. I think there's so much sort of nuance and little things that he built into every drum fill that only comes from like playing it a lot of times and owning it. So yeah, we could have released it earlier, but I don't think it would have been as good.
Okay, it looks like we're gonna be a little longer than expected. Is that okay with you?
Is that okay with you, Niclas?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you.
He knows me very well that I'm blabbermouth.
All right. So just out of curiosity, how did you end up in the PostWax selection by Blues Funeral Records?
Well, that was really we already knew we were recording an album, and then very long story short, Jad, who signed us back in the day for Meteor City Records, and was the first one who gave us a shot when we sent in our first ever demo when we weren't really a band. I was playing drums and Niclas and Ola were I don't know who was playing bass. Maybe that was me as well. But
yeah, I think so.
we just had like a free studio day when you were in that studio because you were studying there.
Yeah.
So we got like a free studio weekend. So we was like, oh, wait, let's just record something. I think we had been like a band for a month or something. And that demo that we recorded and sent to, we knew that this compilation with people from Caius was going to be made. So we just sent it in for fun on cassette tape. And that exact demo was the one that was then came onto that compilation. And since it was very well received, they was just like, oh, do a split here with Nebula. We were like, okay, we can do that. God damn it, we need to record. And that's when Niclas was just like, I think we need another drummer.
Yeah, and some songs.
Yeah. But then you asked Andreas, who was in your class.
Yeah.
If he and I mean, we didn't really know each other, any of us, but that's how we formed the band. Really, we now have to make an EP with a really cool band. But that's how we learned. Like that's our relationship with Jad. It goes back to all the way to the beginning, and he had been out of the music business for a while after selling Meteor City to another guy. And he just wanted to get back into doing records again. And so when he heard that we were like planning to do a new record, he was like, he knew that we put out Ode to IO ourselves, like the re-release of it. And he knew that we maybe didn't want to do the label thing with sending out records because it was a lot of work. So he was just like, I have this idea for doing like a small record label where you get to keep all the rights. You don't have to like sign away your record again or anything like that. But you don't also have to ship records to people from your basement. So, and also you have this dream of doing like a subscription-based, like a vinyl subscription for people, like curated stone rock and doom and psych rock that people got sent home. And he started asking me if I wanted to do the graphic design for it because he knew I was doing stuff like that. And he wanted to do like the picking the music, and then he wanted special packaging for it. So that's really where we started out talking about doing this PostWax thing. And we were just like, let's just, the record we make now, let's just have that one be the first on PostWax then. The first one to sign to it. And that also gave us a deadline, which was good because then now we knew we needed to finish this thing. So yeah, that's how we ended up on PostWax. It's all the same people from back in '98 really working together, but now in like just under different banner.
Okay. So let's talk a bit more about Refractions. So it was out in January 20. It was out to the general public in January 2020. Let's say.
Actually, February.
February.
If I have to nitpick.
Okay.
Yeah, February 21st.
It was very well received by critics and the public, and it ended up #1 album for 2020 actually in numerous tops. So I'm thinking Doom charts, but also the Obelisk, of course, more Fuzz. And there was some serious.
Thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah, well, you're more than welcome. And all of that, despite some serious competition. So did it come as a surprise to you? And have you come with an explanation for it?
Niclas? how do you feel about people loving our record?
Well, no, actually, let's agree on that was kind of a surprise that the reception was so good, right? I think, I mean, we said during the whole process, let's do a record for ourselves.
Yeah,
We really don't care how it will be received, as long as we like it ourselves. So
yeah,
that was the main goal, to have a record that we really could, yeah, listen to. I listen to it every day, I should admit, but that we could feel that this is a record that we are really proud of. And then if the crowd or the fans or the public will like it, buy it, even love it, yeah, that's a bonus. And yeah, it seems to be pretty well received, right? And
yeah. I mean, the thing is,
it's amazing.
we had, I would say we had like some sort of a, not a writer's block, but a writer's anxiety, or like a the difficult second album anxiety. Um, Ever since we reformed, it was just like, oh, we have some stuff to live up to now. And really, it was when we stopped trying to do O2IO2, that's when it started to sound good. And it's actually like Niclas is saying, is like when we stopped doing a record trying to please other people, and when we just like, when we gravitated towards the demos that was like, I've been listening to this demo now for 50 times, then you realize like, but I don't know if it sounds like Lowrider. And then you realize like, but maybe that's exactly the song you should do. If that's how I feel about it, then I think it's a bigger chance that all other people also will like it. That was like a track like Pipe Rider and Ode to Ganymede. I was really afraid of putting those out as Lowrider to begin with, because I just felt like they were too different from Ode to IO, and I thought everyone wants more Ode to IO.
It's
And
been 20 years. People have forgotten a bit.
yeah, but also we were in our bubble. You know, we were only meeting the fans from that knew about Ode to IO, and what we didn't realize, like, the people who have responded to Refractions are, I would say, like 70% of them are people that don't know we put it out another record before that. So it's like almost like a debut record in a lot of ways. But you know, it's like you only look at, like, you're so in your own bubble. So it was really like when we just started to make a record that we wanted to listen to. That's also when, like Niclas said, all the getting praise for it or having other people listen to it was just a bonus. It was, and also since we were so happy with it, if someone was like, I don't like this, then it was easier to shrug it off, like, okay, cool. Then it's just not for you then. Because there's like a lot of music out there that other people love that I don't like at all. Sure, it's not for me then. And it's, of course, the record we do won't be for everyone. So it was like, let's just do it the way we like it. And maybe that resonated somehow through the record, where it feels relaxed in a way, or it just feels like spontaneous, because there's a lot of spontaneity on it that I love that about it. That is like a lot of first takes and a lot of small stuff that isn't really like, that wasn't supposed to be, but then we're perfect. um and yeah, so of course, then to have it be received the way it was on release was, I I sat in my living room crying, reading like what people wrote about it. I was just like, there was like 20 years of build up and pressure, and then people liked it. And then to have it then like 10 months later, in this day and age where people forget about stuff after like 2 weeks, people still at the end of the year put it on their like their top of the year list, and not like just on it, like on the top of, we were getting spoiled with like every day was another like top list, where we're like, I was just sending it to Niclas. Like, this is fucking insane.
Yeah.
It literally like pinching your arm moment, and you also realize like this is not something that happens a lot. So just cherish it while it happens. It was a little funny that it came around Christmas, so it felt like we were getting like Christmas presents with these reviews. Um, but yeah, it's again we have never expected anything from playing in this band or like putting out music. Um, and when we came back to that first notion of like recording music just for ourselves when no one knew about us, that's what Refractions in a lot of ways felt like. Listening to, I actually think like listening to some of the songs feels as inspired as like the first EP we did with Nebula, because there the songs are like all over the place. Uh, they feel like the same band, but they're recorded in different sessions, and they're just like very different and but cool. And I remember some people said when O2I came out, they felt like, oh, this sounds like too homogenous, or like it's all too much of the same thing. The AP was better, just because they thought it was so like diverse and all over the place, and we were two guys singing, and yeah, it was a lot of different flavors. And in a way, I like O2I for what it is, but it's in a ways it's very much like a punk record. It's like we have the same guitar sound on the whole record because it's recorded during the same couple of like 5-6 days. And yeah, um, I love that Refractions is so diverse, and it's just more of like a journey. Um,
So have you tried to figure out why? Why it was what Refractions just resonated with people apparently?
it's really hard to pick people's brains about that, but I've asked some people actually, and it just there's some people who just said that it's it doesn't really sound like stoner rock. It's more like it just a rock record. JJ of the Obelisk said that like you're not a stoner rock band anymore. You're like just like a you're just a rock band. Like you have legit songs, and I feel like for the first time that we had lyrics that actually felt like they were honest and meant something. Maybe that resonated as well. I don't know. We just tried to make like an honest record that felt like us. And
Well, rock record, but on the lower end of the gamma, and I forgot how to say it in English. Sorry, just tune down. Rock band, but a bit tuned down.
Oh, yeah. I mean, not like yeah. I mean, maybe he meant like some. We didn't have like the stone rock tropes, or we definitely don't. That's also a thing that we were a little bit weird about. Maybe not you, Niclas, but I was that. Like the vocals that I dialed it back because I was singing a lot harder back in the day, and then now I just became more melodic, and that was just like is this stone rock anymore? Because it's like it doesn't sound like the bands that we listen to vocally. But then again, that's the way I sing. That's also a thing. We just like fuck it. This is the way I sound when I sing. I'll sing like this. I don't have to sound like Chris Cornell or like I don't know John Garcia or whatever. I don't have that kind of vocals. But then again, that's maybe where we found more of like an honest identity for what we are.
Yeah. Anyway, stoner rock is now very wide. Let's say if you take everything that you can put stoner in front of between I Hate God and King Buffalo, there's not a lot in common. Let's say.
Yeah, I mean it's become very diverse since. I mean now it's just a lot of different styles. But I don't know. We just wanted to. I don't know how to really answer a question that for other people, but it feels like maybe we did a record that felt honest. And well, that was finished. Maybe that's also a thing that we actually took the time to polish it and perfect it till like the songs felt like they were written and done. Because I mean that's also a thing that I mean people don't have that luxury of spending like 7 years making a record these days. That's just insane. And we won't spend 7 years making the next record, of course.
Please,
Uh,
please don't.
no, I mean we have. We're not going to say how and when or how much, but we are planning to release something. If not this year, then early next year. So and then more after that. So it's me. I mean, now it's really just been that the pandemic has hit Sweden kind of hard the last 6 months, and it's just been like a lot of other life stuff that just made it impossible to record. Because before, like Niclas said, we have a studio here in Stockholm that we could use for free. That's where we recorded most of Refractions, and just the fact that now we can't even have like a weekend where Niclas or Ola comes and we can record. We can't even be in the same room. Then it becomes like, God damn it. It's just so much. Things are just trying to make us not record music. There's a lot of like things pulling us the other way. So, but yeah, we haven't stopped writing and we haven't stopped like talking, and we have ideas of how we can record otherwise as well. But a lot of why Refractions worked really well was because both Niclas and Ola could just go in and record and not think about sitting at home, recording themselves, sending stuff. It's a different thing. I was recording them when they were doing their guitar tracks for Refractions. I was sitting there just minding the whole recording process, just so they don't have to. And it's really hard being your own sort of studio technician at the same time as you're recording. It can be sort of limiting. You don't hear when you're doing something good, and you maybe record over it because like that wasn't any good. There was a lot of times when Niclas and Ola was like, don't, now that was perfect. And Ola was like, what, that thing? It's like, yeah, that was amazing. That solo was great. Let's just move on. Actually with him, it's like, he is so much like just a fountain of inspiration, but he doesn't even, I don't think he really controls it himself. It's just a stream of consciousness on his guitar. So recording solos with him was actually, it was just easier to put it on a long loop and have him record, just play on top of the thing. And then I would sort it out afterwards and edit, like, here's a good part and here's a good part. And to think that you, Niclas, or Ola would sit at home with like Logic or Pro Tools or something and record themselves. A lot of like the spur of the moment creativity comes out of actually just playing. Yeah. And us being robbed of like the studio where we can meet up has not helped in making new songs. But new stuff is coming.
I can understand that. Well, looking forward to it. I won't ask too much questions, even if I want to. So you planned the tour for Refractions, of course, for reasons known to all, that could not happen.
What?
And I was very excited to see you on Desert Fest. I must admit, it was kind of a hard
dude,
time.
We were so psyched for Desert Fest. I mean, both me and Niclas, I think, and all of us feel like that since that was our comeback gigs. It feels like when we've done it twice since. It always feels like coming home in a way, to play those venues and those cities, just because we only have fond memories of playing Desert Fest, and the vibe is also always so great. Just the community and the crowd and the people that organize it, they're also awesome. So it doesn't really feel like playing a gig. It's like almost like, I don't know. I've never played in a sports team, but it feels like almost like you're playing your home arena. That's what it feels like playing Desert Fest Berlin and London. So we were like, just like, there's no better place to like go debut Refractions live, and then like
you played Antwerp in 2017 too, right?
Yeah. That was a really good gig. We got sort of, I don't know, about sort of the the idea of trying to follow up something great. I hadn't heard them before, but All Them Witches were playing the same stage before us, and I was just standing there, like, oh, I'll check that band out. Oh, that's a cool band name. And after like a couple of songs, I was like, God damn it, we can't follow that. they were just like amazing, and then I realized like, the only thing we can do is just go up and play. We'll be us. We can't be All Them Witches. And we had a really good set. I think.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I have fond memories.
Yeah, but it was just, you just have those moments where like, oh, God damn it, they were good. And then they were exploding like after that, really. And now I mean, they are as huge as they should be, I think. But it was very humbling seeing a really good band play before you. It both sort of makes you up your game and also relax in a way. It's like, yeah, they've already blown us off stage. The only we can do is like do our thing and have a good time.
Great. So yeah, what I wanted to ask is, and I guess I already know the answer, but I want to ask anyways. How did you cope with the fact of not being able to showcase your album live?
Niclas?
Well, I think I haven't coped yet.
Yeah. No.
It's really a huge bummer actually. And okay, we hadn't that many gigs planned, but we really looked forward to them, and it's a great bummer actually. And I do miss playing live so much, and I really can't wait for us to get out there again.
Yeah, I realized how much I sort of took it for granted that we now, it's like, oh, we're gonna do like, even if we don't do that many gigs, we're doing like 1, 2, 3 festival gigs each year. Like even on a year where we don't do gigs, we still do like
Gigs.
we get to see each other. We get to play like 1 or 2 or 3 times during the summer, and then I felt like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna soon be over. And now I realize now it's been like more than a year since we played live, because we played one gig in Stockholm as sort of as a release party for PostWax together with Besvärjelsen and Doomcraft, uh, and that was amazing. And that was supposed to be like, I don't know, a warm up uh, for Desert Fest, really, just to know that we still like, oh, we still had it, and we could like, if we were supposed to fuck up, we can fuck up on that gig. And we had so much fun, and the new songs were just like, oh, they're coming out so good live. We played Ode to Ganymede. It was just like, oh, this is so great. I was like, literally, when we were playing there, I was like, I can't wait for Desert Fest. And then I think it was like 2 weeks later that we went into lockdown. It was legit, like, just from that to that, and then it's just been that, and now it just feels even, I mean, it feels like almost another life that we were doing shows. It's really weird. It's like a part of you, like an identity that you had. Like, I'm that guy that do shows. I'm now not that guy, because it's been so long. It's just like, I don't know. Maybe this is what it feels like when you're like, you used to be like Wayne Gretzky, and now you're just that dude that used to play hockey. That's a little bit like what it feels like, because it was like, yeah, sure, we could go up and do a gig, but we'd have to rehearse a lot. It feels like a life ago. But yeah, we can't wait to play. Really, it's going to be awesome. But it also, I don't know when that's going to be. Like,
Nobody
in a
does.
year.
Nobody does. But
it feels like it's going to be like next summer, maybe.
We hope for the sooner, right? Let's hope.
Right,
let's hope for the sooner.
But I mean, if we're just looking at it like grown-ups, when are people going to have the vaccine in their arm, all of us. Maybe they say maybe this fall, this winter. Okay, then we're not having gigs until like March or May next year.
Yeah, probably.
So yeah, that's why we're recording new music.
Yeah.
I saw King Buffalo did good use of the quarantine. They're putting out 3 records this year.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
That's like bravo.
All right. So well, now is free speech. So if you have anything you want to add.
Is it like this thing in school when you could just go up and perform? Do you have like
Yeah.
a flute, Niclas?
No.
Do you have a good joke you can... It's good to see you, Niclas.
Yeah, the same.
God damn it, I miss these guys. Also, it is you that were on the lawnmower in the video?
It is.
Oh, that's so cool.
we are forever in debt to you, man.
It's with pleasure. With pleasure.
Really. When I got that video, I was just like, now we could just have this be like half the video. I'm just also the thing is, I didn't realize since watching maybe like the 7th time that there is a person driving the thing, right?
Yeah.
Because I thought it was just you were on like with it like with, you know, like you put a brick to the gas or something. Like,
there's someone driving. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It didn't make it worse. It actually made it even more funny. But that is also something I want to say about like the kind of fans we have. It's just wonderful to be able to ask people to do silly shit, and they're up for doing silly shit. That it's not. We take when we record our music and write it, we take it very seriously, but everything else is very unserious with this band. We're never going to be like the doom and gloom guys, and that video and the fans we seem to have, I don't know, it's just a joy to be able to be part of a community where people are so goddamn nice and cool and funny. So yeah, we really feel like we're fans of our fans a lot of time. We're just grateful to be the guys that get to play music. So
just as a reminder, if there's anyone who checks this video and doesn't know what we're talking about, we're talking about the fan-made videos that you asked people to send you beats for Red River.
Right. We actually shot like a whole regular music video for Red River as sort of a backup if no one was going to send us stuff. But then people sent us tons of really cool shit. And we would just realize like it's a lot more fun to have a video with everyone participating in it than having us play rock in front of a camera. That's just like, you've seen that before. So yeah, it's the fan made video for Red River that, well, it sort of encapsulated a lot of what was cool about 2020 and being stuck at home, I guess. So a lot of people rocking out with their vacuum cleaners.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Well, Peder, Niclas, I think we've been a bit over time. That's fine.
It was.
Nobody will watch until the end then. But it's okay. It's been a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. And we look forward to hear more from you and to see you on stage as soon as possible.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. Thanks, man.